and this is the English edition of the forum. And listeners, we will be talking about Indian government's assassination attempts in Canada and America. And it is quite obvious that Indian involvement has been exposed at the global level, and even the Americans have conveyed their strongest concerns and their outrage to the Indian government at different levels, at the level of the Prime Minister of India, at the level of the National Security Advisor, and so on and so forth. But the question is why India has taken so much of a courage to go out and plan an assassination attempt in America. It was obviously prevented and thwarted by the American authorities. But India was exposed as a state which is fast becoming a rogue state, and they probably thought that they could get away with that because once they assassinated a top Sikh separatist leader in Canada, and they thought that it would be the same kind of a response, but I think response from the American, though not very visible, not very public, but very, very strong. And they conveyed the message that this is not on. America will not accept such attempts on part of Indian agencies to carry out such assassination attempts. We know that local people were engaged in this process. $100,000 were given, and the Indian state operatives were involved in the planning and execution, but it was prevented by the U.S. authorities. It was not just one-off assassination attempt on a Sikh separatist leader who is advocating the separate homeland for the Sikhs, Khalistan. I think it was most probably 3 or 4 persons on the hit list of the American agencies, and they decided to go ahead with the plan, but it was thwarted. And now we see that America has conveyed its concern through diplomatic channels as well. The important American newspapers and news agencies reported every development taking part on as far as this assassination attempt was concerned. But listeners, we have seen that India has been involved in such terror activities at the state level in occupied Kashmir and in India itself as well. We have seen that the minorities, particularly Muslims, were targeted by the RSS gangs known as vigilantes. These vigilantes were basically formed and established in order to harass and persecute the Muslim minority. The reason was the Hindutva philosophy. Hindutva philosophy doesn't leave space for such minorities like Muslims, who are the largest minority, 200 million living anywhere on planet Earth. The Sangh Parivar basic philosophy, we have seen that they wanted to convey the message to the fringe elements who are very extremist in their approaches, nationalist and hardline Hindu fundamentalist, that India is only meant for Hindus and all other minorities do not have a right to be there. And even if they want to live there, they need to live as a second-rate citizen in India. I think that was the point. Even we have seen yesterday's elections, where Bharatiya Janata Party won elections in 3 out of 4 states, with the exception of Telangana, where Congress won. And once again, the slogan was Hindutva, slogan was RSS, the slogan was Sangh Parivar, and slogan was persecution of minorities. And Modi basically has been spearheading this persecution as far as the Muslims are concerned. And finally, we have seen that they have won elections in 3 out of 4 states, elections held in Madhya Pradesh, in Rajasthan, and in Chhattisgarh and in Telangana. Telangana was the only state where the Indian Congress won the elections, state elections. It is a prelude to the general elections in India, which are going to be held in May 2024. And observers believe that given the ground situation, how Bharatiya Janata Party is trying to attract the voters on the basis of their very narrow nationalistic and fundamentalist views, is trying to convert India. And rather, I think India has been converted into a fundamentalist Hindu state, and where there is no space for minorities, including Muslims and Christians, even listens to the extent that their own Hindu low caste, which is known as Dalits, they have not been even spared as far as the persecution is concerned, in terms of jobs, in terms of other facilities, and even I think Dalits are probably the most persecuted minority. I wouldn't say minority because they're part of the Hindu population. They are believed to be the most targeted, most hated, and most despised communities anywhere on planet Earth. This is what the Bharatiya Janata Party means, and this is what Bharatiya Janata Party is basically pursuing the narrow nationalistic and fundamentalist political approach as far as India is concerned. And now coming to our topic, which is the Indian attempts to kill Sikh separatist leaders anywhere in the world, including United States of America and Canada. In Canada, they successfully assassinated one of the very prominent figures of the Sikh separatist movement. And the Canadian Prime Minister came out with a very categoric statement that Indian agencies were involved in this assassination attempt, and he even provided intel. Intel even substantiated by the Five Eyes. Five Eyes is the block of developed nations which gather intelligence and then they share the intelligence as well. Americans were provided with the intel by the Canadian authorities, and probably at the very initial stages, Americans were not so convinced. But when the intel provided by the Five Eyes was shared with the American intelligence community, they believed that the intel was correct, and intel was provided by the Five Eye intel gathering group of advanced countries. And America even showed annoyance, but little they had known that this would be attempted on American soil as well. And now we have seen that what is happening in India. India probably is a country where about 400 million people are living below poverty line, and India is projecting itself as a state which is a powerful state in the region economically and militarily. Militarily, maybe because they have got India is among the countries who are the largest spenders as far as the military spending is concerned. Their budget is probably the highest among the highest in the world, and the highest in our own region, where other smaller countries, even Pakistan, feel threatened by Indian hegemonistic designs and Indian military buildup, and is spending, ignoring the multitude of poor people in India at the cost of the quality of life in India. They have been spending so heavily on acquisition of modern weapon systems from different sources, including Britain and including France, America, Russia, and even Israel. They have been accumulating weapons only and primarily for establishing their own hegemonistic designs. And we have seen that India never accepted any other country as a country equal to India in this region of ours, which is the South Asian region. And the same philosophy is guiding the philosophy that they can go anywhere. They could go to Canada, they could go to America, and they assassinate wherever they want to assassinate. I think this is what India is doing, and we would like to take a short break. When we come back, we will be talking about the same issue, and we will try and involve some eminent guests as well. And let's see, they will try and educate us about the Indian hegemonistic designs in the region and Indian state terrorism as well, which has expanded beyond our region and gone into North America. And I believe that The global community must be awakened now. They must understand that India cannot be trusted as a partner. Even in our own region, India is being used as a frontline state to contain Chinese influence in the Indo-Pacific region. And India believes that it has been given a larger-than-life role to contain China. But on the contrary, America has always used and utilized local partners, and when their purpose is served, and these partners are dished, and even India shouldn't be living in a delusional world that they would be able to continue, because India is not a part of Quad, India is not a part of even AUKUS. So given the situation that they are not part of these strategic regional groupings, India believes that they have become so powerful, so influential, and so operative in this region that they can become part of this global partnership to contain China. And when we get back, we'll try and get hold of a eminent guest as well. Stay with us. successfully assassinated a separatist Sikh leader in Canada, but they were not able to do the same in the United States of America because the plan was thwarted and India was exposed at the global level after its failed assassination attempt in America. Indian agencies wanted to assassinate not just one but 3 to 4 Sikh leaders, one in New York and 3 in California. But American agencies were able to expose Indian attempts over there, and the strongest possible concerns or outrage was conveyed to the Indian authorities at the top level, including the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Listeners, we need to understand, as we were discussing earlier, that since Prime Minister Modi came into power in India in 2014, several laws were adopted in the parliament or introduced under the Hindu nationalist vision, because since Bharatiya Janata Party is thriving on Hindu nationalist vision of India, where minorities only have a second-rate citizen status. With some in the process of becoming acts or having already been passed and incorporated into the Indian Constitution as well. Such laws, since Narendra Modi's BJP-led government has taken control of the country, the secular democratic Indian government has been increasingly converging with Hindu nationalism, which is the philosophy of Hindutva, what we were discussing at the outset as well, incorporating an extremist approach to Indian society and Indian order. A revocation of Article 370 in occupied Kashmir is the example where the Indian occupied Kashmir was turned into a huge prison camp, open prison camp, which means India has officially annexed the disputed territory of Jammu and Kashmir and annulled the distinct separate identity of Jammu and Kashmir, which remained in vogue for the last 70 years. And then all of a sudden India decided to do that and even tried to get away with that. And I believe that they got away with it because there was very negligible condemnation and indignation on part of the global community what they did with the people of occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Another example which shows the Hindutva mindset is the adoption of the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019. This is in 2019, this Unlawful Activities Prevention Amendment UAP Act was adopted, and in the Indian Supreme Court verdict, even if we look at the Babri Masjid incident where Supreme Court validated the demolition of the mosque, which is 600 years old, and the building of a temple over there, this is the scant regard Indian fundamentalist government shows for the religious freedom in India, while they talk about still that India being a secular state, but it is just a mirage. India never was a secular state. Another step which the Modi government took was the National Register of Citizens, NRC. This is known as NRC. This was adopted in Assam, and family laws like divorce and inheritance issues, these were also adopted. Each of these policies or acts. We have Dr. Mohammad Khan with us right now. We'll try and understand what India is doing as far as assassination of Sikh separatist leaders are concerned, and it's designed to have a regional hegemony in the region in South Asia. Dr. Khan, thank you so much for joining program Forum, the English edition. Dr. Khan, we'll be talking about the Indian attempts to assassinate Sikh leaders in of course, they assassinated one of the Sikh leaders in Canada. They tried to do the same in the United States of America, but their plans and plots were thwarted by the American authorities, and India was exposed being a state sponsoring terrorism globally. This was, Dr. Khan, a transnational terror activity which India was carrying out. How dangerous it is for the regional peace and the global peace?
Thank you very much, Jadoon Saab. Very nice question. As a matter of fact, since last more than 2 months, I have been writing on this Khalistan movement.
Okay.
and particularly after the killing of Sikh leader in British Columbia, 𝐓𝐚𝐥𝐤 and the entire process which has taken place, and later on, today one of my articles is being published. I think it must have been published by now. This about that how United States of America unearth what is the conspiracy going on against all the Sikh leaders, those who are asking for their separate homeland in India with the name of Khalistan. And this is indeed, just to tell you that after killing of 𝐓𝐚𝐥𝐤 𝐒𝐡𝐨𝐰, people from the intelligence agencies of United States of America, they twice visited New Delhi and they shared entire data where the Indian RA is involved in killing of this 𝐓𝐴 and what plot which has been unearthed by United States of America about another Sikh leader, Panoon, who is again, he is a consul for justice for the Sikhs, and he is indeed, he moved from India, he was threatened there also. And this is not only that 𝐓𝐴 or Panoon, but this is indeed the number of the Sikh leaders, those who are living in either United States of America, Canada, or various European countries. And they, as a matter of fact, had a sort of a plebiscite, a voting earlier in United Kingdom and later on in other parts of the world, in order to show to the world that Sikhs all around the world, and particularly Sikhs in India, they want their separate homeland. And in order to undo that, India has planned that all the Indian embassies in entire European Union, United States of America, Canada, and all those friendly countries of India, they will post the RA agents, and those RA agents, through their hired killers, those who are already involved in various crimes, maybe the drugs for that matter, they will be killing these Sikhs one by one, and US agencies were able to unearth this. This is a great success, I would say, that whereas we have many reservations about the US role, but we appreciate United States of America and the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, for doing a great job that they expose what Indians they are doing worldwide in the form of militancy and the terrorism. But Jadoon sahab, let me ask you, this is something very, very interesting, that in almost all the embassies of India, in the garb of the secularism and the friendship and all that, they have dozens of the people, those who are from their spying network, and they are somehow related to, indeed, promoting Hinduism, Hinduism ideology, and they are indeed convincing the local population for the India, making all sort of, you can say that, grounds for the investment. But the main thing which is going on, that is indeed these people, they are involved in a very silent and covert activities for terrorism. That is a reign of terror which they are promoting all over the world. And this is all against all those who are asking for their right of self-determination in the form of Kashmiris, those who are asking for their right of self-determination in the form of Sikhs. And then now there is another phase, this is Manipur and all that. And this is going everywhere. And this is going against all.
Dr. Khan,
Dr. Khan, this is the Muslim and this is the Sikhs.
Yes, Pakistan as a country has been highlighting Indian state terrorism, and we busted Kulbhushan Yadav network in Balochistan. We have been pointing out to the global community that India is sponsoring, financing and training terror outfits in Pakistan to carry out terrorist activities and to damage the state of Pakistan. The global community never paid heed to our point of view, and now America itself has become a target of Indian state terrorism. Now, will they realize that India must be contained as far as its brazen attempts to carry out terror activities on foreign lands, which is also known as transnational terrorism?
Very nice. As far as the Balochistan is concerned, let me, Jadoon sahab, share with you that the entire militancy and the terrorism which spread over the last 2 decades or more than that in Balochistan province of Pakistan. And then thereafter, after the 9/11, through Afghan soil into the former FATA of Pakistan, that is all because of the India. And very recently, I would say that after 2021, this group of the militants, I mean the TTP and the Baloch Liberation Army and various segments of sub-nationalists in the Balochistan, they were indeed collaborated. I mean, they were indeed, their joint meetings were organized in Afghanistan. Despite that, today we have an Afghanistan where there is a Taliban government and they promised that their soil is not going to be used against any third country. But I am sure, and I have the ground information that these groups, whether they are the BLAs and other Baloch nationalists or sub-nationalists or the TTP, Jamaat-ul-Ahrar, Daesh and all that, they are collectively planning their militancy and the terrorism against the state of the Pakistan. And it is the raw behind all these things and the former elements of what it was the NDS. And I would say that they have all the plans that how to sabotage the developmental packages or the developments which is going on in the Pakistan, the confidence building measures between the government, armed forces and the people of the Pakistan. I would say that Balochistan was coming back from this militancy. It was returning to the normalcy, but these elements which are being abated and sponsored from India, they have carried out extensive militancy in the terrorism against the state and society of the Pakistan, and India is behind all these things. I think after knowing the facts, as I mean, Pakistan is in the neighborhood of the India, and there are the geographical contiguity between India and the Pakistan, but more so, there is a geographical contiguity between Pakistan and Afghanistan, and Afghan soil is being used by India against Pakistan. But in comparison to Pakistan and India, India has no border linkages with the Canada, United States of America, the entire European Union. But even then, it is indeed carrying out all these activities. Then it is not difficult for the India. So the world community, particularly the power centers, United States of America, UN, the major powers and all that, they should really realize that India is not becoming a threat for Pakistan only, but India is becoming a threat for the global peace.
Absolutely.
Before they should really continue, they should really, they need to reconcile that would they continue or would they really invest in a country which has the terrorism as their main stay in their country. They are promoting this terrorism globally, regionally, and nationally. If I talk about the nationally, all the minorities of the India, they are under stress and strain to either leave India or become the Hindu. Regionally, they are forcing all the regional countries of the South Asia to be hostage of or to be subordinate to states of India. And globally, they are trying to convince international capitals that Indian diaspora or the Indian strategies, they have to be really accepted worldwide. Otherwise, you will face this militancy and the terrorism. And let me ask you that even this Middle East, this Middle East in North Africa, here I have written an article also that Indian embassy was sponsoring the spying network of the Mossad. And the Mossad people, they indeed make local linkages, and what today the Palestinians are suffering, and there is the Israelis heading toward a greater Israel. That indeed has a collaboration and cooperation between India and the state of the Israel. So this is, I would say that India is becoming a threat for the international peace and security.
Absolutely. Dr. Khan, when India carried out assassination of a Sikh leader in Canada, the Canadian Prime Minister came out and expressed his government's outrage and conveyed this outrage to the Indian leadership as well. At that particular time, it's Canada's partners, including the USA and the European countries, only paid a lip service to support what Prime Minister of Canada was talking about. He expressed his apprehension that Indian state agencies were involved in the assassination of a Sikh separatist leader in Canada. And ultimately, America agreed, or rather accepted, acknowledged the Canadian intelligence when the intelligence coming from the Five Eyes was shared with the USA. But now USA itself became, I think it was the same month. Canada was targeted in June this year, and I think that was the same month, the month of June, as reported by the Financial Times. So when America became target of assassination attempt, they conveyed the outrage at different levels, including the Indian Prime Minister, the Indian Foreign Minister, and even the National Security Advisor. And many Americans even traveled to New Delhi to convey the outrage and concerns of the American government. Why America did not take it so seriously then, when it was reported by the Canadian authorities that Indians were involved at the state level to assassinate a Sikh separatist leader? Was it because of the Indian role in the Indo-Pacific region, which probably America believed that India could play a frontline state role in containing China in the Indo-Pacific region, and just turned the other way?
Very interesting. I would say, Jadoon Sahab, that this million-dollar question has many answers. But very briefly, I will sum up this question, and very briefly. Number one is that India is indeed globally, India has captured 4 areas. One, the financial institutions. I mean, the international financial institution or the finances, India has a great say all over the world, particularly Europe and America and Middle East. Number 2, India is taking a lead as far as the IT is concerned. So at the level of IT and at the level of media, number 3 is the media. So the perceptions or the misperception, or the information or the disinformation, as a matter of fact, this have directly to do with something, the media. And then India is, I would say that IT. And then India is Indian diaspora. They have taken over the educational system of most of the countries. I mean, they are professors, they are researchers, they are everywhere in the United States of America, in Europe, and in Middle East. So the opinion making is in the hands of India. This is something that globally, wherever any country or any state like Justin Trudeau, they wanted to indeed move against India. But he remained short of that, reason being that the Indian lobby has been very strong in Canada, and Indian lobby has been very strong both in America as well as the Europe. So these are some of the realities we have to accept, and the world has to accept. Number 2, you asked about the Indo-Pacific, I would say the Asia-Pacific. As a matter of fact, in Asia-Pacific, these countries should understand that India would never be used against China to support United States of America, or for that matter the West. Whenever India will be doing anything, maybe taking weapons and equipment and the financial assistance, but ultimately India will keep its own interest at the forefront. So they are mistaken. And yes, they are doing it so that the China is neutralized, or at least China is contained right in the region. In this region, I mean the South Asia, along with this Pacific region, India is being used. Quad is one aspect, but on the Pacific in particular, Japan is being used. So let me ask you here that yes, this is one of the aspects, but Indian diaspora has taken over the opinion making at the global level, where you can't say anything or you can't write anything, and that stays in the website or the Google for that matter. So the Google is being controlled through the Indian IT personnel, and international media is in the hands of India, and along with that, I would say that Indian scholars, Indian writers, they are pro-Hindutva, and they indeed do not let anything happen which goes against India. This is something, the reality.
Dr. Khan, after India was given the membership of the Quad, which consists of USA, Japan, India, and Australia as well. So after getting membership of Quad, India started believing that they have a larger than life role in, as you pointed out, in the Asian Pacific region, forgetting that America has been using different countries in different times. We can see what happened with Pakistan when the Russians invaded Afghanistan. America forged a very, very close alliance with Pakistan, and Pakistan was known as the most allied ally of the USA. The CIA was operating in the region. They were trying to defeat the Russians in Afghanistan, and Pakistan was made to believe that Russians wanted to expand their influence into the warm waters of the Arabian Ocean, and Pakistan became a frontline state to contain a so-called communist push into this region. And ultimately what happened when the Russians were defeated, America left the region and left Pakistan to deal with its own demons. And again we saw the Americans stayed in Afghanistan after 9/11. They fought the Taliban fighters for 20 years after they decided to cut loose and run, and once again left Pakistan high and dry and tried to make a bonhomie with the Indians. Don't Indians realize that after being used, they could be dumped as well? Or maybe Modi believes that while shaking hands with President Biden, he is trying to enhance his stature globally, which I believe is not the right probably situation. Dr. Khan.
Thank you very much. Very rightly that the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979 and thereafter, we proved trustworthy. Indeed, we did everything. And we knew that the environment, which perhaps we felt from 1947 till it was 1990 or 1989, once through Geneva Accord, the things were concluded, that we were indeed penalized by the then Soviet Union. So we did accordingly, and the Muslims from all over the world, they operated from the platform which was provided by the Pakistan. Definitely United States of America and the West was behind. Indeed, they have a strategic objective, how to disintegrate the former Soviet Union. Indians do have a realization of that. That's why you look throughout in the history of India, whether it was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, whether it was 1962 war with China, or thereafter, Indians, they have always, they were benefited and they were never used as a matter of fact. Whenever they were used, they tried to keep their own interest or their own strategic interest at the forefront. So indeed, here again, in the Quad for that matter, India knows that alone India can't do anything. And you must be remembering 2020 and 2021, the Galwan Valley in the Ladakh area, Indian tried that they should neutralize the Chinese influence and all that, and how the Chinese, without using arms, they indeed kicked Indians and captured around 3,000 to 4,000 kilometers in the Galwan Valley, all along the line of actual control. So India should know its potential, that their forces and the India itself can't do much. That's why India is trying to be part of this Quad, and they have luckily or unluckily given that. But through that Quad or through that forum, India will try to get the maximum strategic gains in the Asia Pacific, rather than giving those gains or benefits to United States of America, Australia, or for that matter, Japan.
But Dr. Khan, India, after becoming part of the Quad, started believing that they have been given the role of a regional policeman, and even they were trying to browbeat Pakistan. Pakistan, being a peaceful country, believes in regional peace and wants to coexist peacefully with every state of the region as well. But India, we have seen lately that it has its belligerence and its jingoism has increased after becoming part of the U.S. alliances in the region. Isn't it about time that America should realize that India is not a trustworthy nation, what they have done in Canada and what they tried to do in America as well? America, I think, would have taken a very different stance and different stand had it been any other country trying to assassinate an American in America. But given the situation, America, though, conveyed a very strong outrage, but not publicly. They said that we conveyed the concern and the outrage to the Indian government. But I think they're still trying to make India stay within the alliance, and they are not trying to punish India for what should have been the case if any other country was involved in it, Dr. Khan.
This is true. Indeed, this is a true scenario that United States of America and the West, they should not trust India. Reason being that India has never been that trustworthy. And that's what I was trying to make my case, that they should understand that India has always kept its own interest supreme rather than the interest of United States of America.
Correct.
During the Cold War, India never kept supreme the interest of former Soviet Union. And again, during its collaboration and the cooperation with Russia, India maintained its own status. Indeed, India is playing on the both sides of the fence, wherever it gets the benefit. But no, it is up to the United States of America, the major powers, otherwise, other international community where Indian consider that they have a liberty to operate anywhere in the media, in the finances. For example, take the example of only the United Arab Emirates. Out of its 9 million population, there are 3.7 million Indians, and some of them they got the nationality, and the 80% finances they are in control of the Indians.
Correct.
Indian companies, the Indian CEOs are there. The world should now realize, and particularly United States of America, that they are investing at the wrong place and the wrong man. If they take the Modi as the man who will really give them something in credit, no, not at all. That's not going to be happen. India has always been, you can say that mistrusted partner for any country, whether at the regional level or the global level. And India has the genes to do that because they are the follower of 𝐓𝐚𝐥𝐤, and he has a very different philosophy compared to Machiavelli and all others.
Yes, absolutely.
The realists for that matter.
Yes,
so we have to understand, and it is now the diplomacy at the global level. I would say that the Pakistani diplomats, Pakistani political engagement at the global level, they must indeed at this particular time, once India is trying to promote this terrorism.
Dr. Khan, since we are running short of time, thank you so much for your time. We'll have to leave it there. Listeners, Allah Hafiz, take care of yourself.